You're listening to NFT 365, the first daily podcast on NFTs with your host, Fanzo.
There's something really cool about knowing that we can, shift the momentum and the energy towards good. And I love seeing so many people that are even going back and listening to older episodes when they're deciding to, put their money behind a project and looking at what projects that we are kind of investing in ourselves, which ones we have minted for our Mint 365 project. But I also will say, not only is it important to do your own research, but also just remember, what the expectations are when we're explaining different projects, right? It's very easy to I was even joking with someone on my team that we could write down how many times we mentioned Playboy Rabbitars or Crypto Chicks or Meta Whips. We could write down how many times we mentioned those projects or Crypto Dads, whatever it may be. But without the context of when we mention them, it can really be taken out of sorts. And I think that's such an important aspect, in this, NFT space, is really making sure that you have the context with any recommendation. When someone says, hey, this is a great project, you guys should check it out, the question back should be, what about it is great? And when you say it is it great for a long-term hold, a short-term hold? Is it great because it has great art and we can trust the founders? Is it great because you believe it'll blow up very quickly and we'll get a lot of return right away? I think all of those things, when we say something like this project is great, or hey, check out this project, you kind of have to take a lot of those things into account. And so, I was recently interviewed on a new podcast by a good friend, Mike Stelzner, called Crypto Business. And in that podcast, I talked a lot about the use cases for NFTs. And really my focus on that podcast was, those that are looking to learn more about crypto, I want to really open their mind on the use cases that are available here in the NFT space, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with the blockchain. A lot of that has to do with the ability to be, having this transparent ledger where it doesn't have to be an example of hey, trust me, I'm going to do what I say with the money that you guys are investing. I can actually show that it's worth, that I'm doing exactly what I was preaching or what I believe in. And I mentioned on that podcast, the idea of charities and nonprofits and social good aspects of the NFT space. And I mentioned the Shaquille O'Neal project. Shaq had a project where he launched around Christmas time, and we minted one of them here for the project. I minted, I think, 5 or 6 of them myself for my own personal bag. And what I loved about it was, it was for the Shaquille O'Neal Foundation, the Shaq Foundation, where he's helping kids in underprivileged areas, especially in Florida, that don't have resources to school supplies. He's getting them school supplies. And one of the big things he stressed during an interview that he had with Gary Vaynerchuk was about, he's not going to use this money for overhead or for hiring people or for his team. It's every penny that is going to be raised by this NFT, that wallet is going to be directly used for the buying and selling the buying and donating of all of these resources and goods. And I got a lot of people reaching out to me, and shout out to so many in the Discord. I know, we had Mr. Ross, we had Dan, a lot of those that are not only are they active in our Discord, but they are holding our founders NFTs. There are 22 of you that are holding our founders NFTs, which was a $5,000 investment for each. And I just want to say, thank you. Thank you for buying the founders NFTs. They are sold out now. We do have some super fans NFTs that are available if anyone wants to support the show. Also get access to a percentage of our sale on November 11th. You can check out those super fans NFTs. And so I love that there were so many people in our community that their mind started racing on what are the ways that we can use NFTs for charities that maybe you're on the board of, or social good initiatives. And I will say, I'm on the social council for No Kid Hungry. I've been on the advisory board for a lot of projects on stopping child trafficking, on a couple other projects as well. And I think the opportunity here with NFTs is massive, because if we think about it, one of the things with charity side of the house is that we like to be able to amplify the good things that we're doing, and we should, right? If you are donating it, you shouldn't be donating just so that you can tell everyone that you're donating, But if you think about it, if you are donating and you tell more people that you're donating, how many more people will that inspire to donate or inspire to, have something good? And I know around Christmas time we invested, and I need to make sure I stop using the word invested, but we purchased a couple NFTs that had social good components to them. But I want to add this caveat right out of the jump. A lot of the social good focused or social good only NFT projects have not done very well from an NFT perspective on like long-term growth, just so far from what I can tell, right? And even that first NFT that I've ever purchased, right, the Blaze Cats NFT, they donated 100% of their profits to the Mental Health Association. But I will say that's a great thing, but I believe there's also this like balance, right? Because if we're donating 100% of the profits, what is the team doing to operate the Discord, the community? How are they reinvesting in the artist? How are they giving back? And I think it's very easy for us to go one side or the other. And I've explained this in a previous episode as well. Like if you're using social good or charity as a backbone, as like the number one thing that you're marketing, but you're only giving 10% of your revenue or your profit to the charity, I think that's not cool, right? Like if you're going to use that as the number one thing you're marketing, it needs to be more than 10%. But also on the flip side, if it's 100%, how are you funding these projects? How are you funding the continual growth? And like, how do we know that like the project's going to be around for a while? And so I think there is a balance, right? And I will say one of the other balances to this is, if you remember that built into almost all NFT contracts is that residual, right? That percentage, that creator percentage, that for every sale, a percentage goes back to, whatever the smart contract determines. And see, this is where I think we can actually make a massive impact, right? To inspire people to trade and to sell and to buy on secondary market, rather than saying, hey, this charity, we're going to donate 100% to this charity of our initial profits. What if you did a percentage of the initial profits, but then you did 5% of every secondary sale will go directly in to the wallet for the charity, right? Like now we're not only incentivized, now we would stop, it would actually help eliminate the shaming of those that are flipping projects, right? Because technically if you're buying it and you're flipping the NFT for what it's worth, right? You're not undercutting the floor, but you're flipping it. All of a sudden now we know that, hey, 5% of that every flip is going to a charity or through a social good cause. Now I think we're kind of moving in the right direction. The other part of this is I'm a big believer in collaboration. And so I think it's very easy to say, okay, we're going to pick this charity and this NFT project is going to donate a percentage to that charity. But what if you brought the charity into the NFT project? And not only was donations going there, but they were going to help influence some of the direction. They were going to contribute to the content. They were going to participate in the Discord. I think one of the things that is missing, and the reason I think a lot of these NFT projects have struggled that are really social good heavy or really charity heavy, is it definitely does feel like we are doing this and we're sending it to them. But imagine if you brought the charity and the cause in to the scenario, into the project. And even, I would even say go as far as, if your charity or your cause has artists and creatives that are in it, why not include one-of-ones that were actually created by those that are, being impacted by the charity or by the cause? Right now we're starting to make a difference. And, as someone, I've been on the social board now for No Kid Hungry, which is an amazing charity. I definitely recommend checking out the work they do. They only ask for donations one day a year. The rest of the year, they're really focused on educating on how many kids here in America specifically are struggling to know where their next meal is coming from. And as a dad of 3 little girls, that just pains my heart to think about, kids in this country that, when they wake up, the only meal that they can guarantee, is the ones they have in school. And like, what do they do on the weekends? And there's so many things that go into that. And it's just a great cause. And, I've been actually part of that community since 2013. And, one of the things that I was thinking of is that, not only is it a really cool cause, but they integrate chefs into the actual project. So they do these chef bike rides. They send different chefs to different schools that actually do some amazing cooking there at the school to kind of change the dynamic. Also, they bring chefs in to educate different school systems on why they need to change the food and the way that they're integrating some of these nonprofits. So like one of the things that I was thinking of for No Kid Hungry is like, okay, what if we integrated that ability to not only bring the school boards in, but what if we were able to work with those school systems to do, we could do contests for these kids in these, in these lower income school systems where maybe the winner of these contests at these different schools, their artwork is now turned into an NFT, and then we can raffle that NFT off within a collection and now raise money for that school system, right? And that money would be directly sent via a wallet for that school system for them to use to, maybe to increase the amount of kids that are getting the free lunches, or even to support, free, more, lunches on days where school doesn't happen, or on the weekends. And so I really think the integration of some of the cause marketing is really important here. The other part of this is that I think when we're like, it's one thing to say that we're donating and making an impact. It's another thing to show it and to prove it, right? And I think that's really where, if I had to argue right now, if I had to say a place that I feel NFT projects as a whole are lacking, it's in video content. Like, how much video content have you seen, even founders interviews, right? Or even, project sneak peeks, right? Yes, there's some like really cool trailers and some 3D animation videos, but like, why aren't we seeing more of the, kind of cross collaboration? And like, I would love to know, to get to know, people within the community on what they're doing. And the last part of this is that, we hear a lot of community DAOs that they allow voting of their members to vote on, what is possible. And, for those that are wanting to wrap their head better around things like DAOs or things like, creating some of these, creator collaborations, you definitely want to check out our sponsor CEX, which is the Creator Economy Expo that is happening May 2nd in Phoenix, Arizona. You can go ahead and get your own VIP access to every single Creator Economy Expo event moving forward. They actually allowing you to, get an NFT that will by holding that, you'll get access to all of the future events as well. And you just check out mint.cex.event. So definitely check them out. And, the idea here is like, how do we as creators not only integrate together, but collaborate together? And like, I would even argue what would be cool is like, what if we had multiple projects coming together that all of them were, let's say these 5 projects, we're going to donate for the month of, let's say for the month of March, we're going to donate 5% of all of our secondary sales to this charity or cause together. But then as founders, the 5 of us are going to go present that to that group, and we're going to teach them how to take this community wallet that we have set them up, and we're going to bring that directly to that charity, because I believe this is another piece, is that the education on charity transparency is something we've all heard a lot about, right? Like, we want to know that the money that we're actually donating is going to the place that we say it's going to go. And I believe cryptocurrency is going to enable that in a way that we've never seen before. But we also have to know that we have to educate the charities on that side, and we have to bring the community to them, not expect them to come to us in every scenario. And then the last thing too is, I believe we can evolve a lot of our projects. When we hear about roadmap, we often hear about like the things that like were projected. I call it projected utility. But it doesn't mean you can't add things along the way, right? And so what if a project that is sold out already, maybe you're a part of one of these projects, and I would challenge anyone that takes, you hear a great idea on the podcast, take this back to your favorite project. You don't need to be the project founder to come up with great ideas. If you hold the NFT, you are an owner that is just as much responsible for the success of that project as the original founders are. And what I would recommend is, what if you were able to take, once you've sold out, now let's survey our audience. Let's bring our audience in and allow them to vote for the charity or the cause that they want a percentage to things to go to, right? And I think the more we integrate the holders into the decisions that we're making, especially when they're non-floor, non-floor, non-directly, marketing type decisions, the more we can integrate the community, I believe the more community feels like they have a say what's going on. But more so than anything else, I believe the more people you have within your community talking about the social good, the more that NFT will benefit. Because I think, unfortunately, some of the projects that I've been a part of that I know that I got in because they had a social good element and they had a very strong social good element. When I talked to other NFT holders in that same community, they didn't even know that a percentage of it was going to social good. They joined for a different reason. And I think that's one of the other big pieces here is that we want to integrate the owners and the holders into our mission-driven components. And so that's really where I would focus. And then the last thing I would challenge, a lot of us here is, when we're looking at, and we're going to do this in our podcast community as well. We're gonna roll out in the next couple of weeks a roadmap for the podcast. We're also gonna dial in a little bit our mission, our vision, and our purpose, because I think it's essential to make that very clear. And I want everyone here to know, we are on a mission to create, education, right? To for me, it's to educate, it's to motivate people to take action, and it's to inspire all of those that are listening to understand what is possible, to bring this to your family, to your community. And I can't tell you how happy I get when I see people tagging people on Twitter and say, hey, I brought my brother, my sister, my mom into the NFT space and I had them listen to your podcast, Brian. Or, hey, look who I brought into the Discord. There's someone that is looking to grow. And I think when we look at our projects today, and I've said this a lot, one of the things we struggle as humans, as individuals, is that we have a lot of values that we hold dear to us, but we don't often do a great job of putting our values out to the world, but we often expect the world to respect our values and to align with our values. But if we're not putting our values out, if we're not making those values very clear and reiterating them and making them evident in everything that we're doing, how can we expect others to actually hold up to those values that we have? And so I look at projects as that same piece. And I think a lot of projects, the more that I see a project is dialed in on what their mission is and what their vision is for the future and what their underlying purpose is for their community. Because remember, a community is not a bunch of people coming together. People coming together because of the people that are a part of something, that's called a network. But if you're building a community, it's about people coming together because they have a shared purpose and they have a common passion for a certain type of outcome. And I think we really, really need to improve on that as a whole. And I want to lead that here as the podcast as well. The more I was dialing that in, the more I was recognizing that I also need to improve on that. I want to make sure that that is clear. So when people talk about NFT 365, it's not just a great podcast. It's a podcast that was built and that is being run and it has a goal of educating, of motivating and inspiring, of not allowing a financial burden to be the thing that prevents us from, being a part of this community, which is why we're buying an NFT every single day for the year. And with that being said, we did buy a pretty cool NFT. I don't know about you guys, but I love donuts. I love donuts. My favorite, I don't know what your favorite is. Let me know what your favorite donut is. Love to hear, tag us on any of the socials with what your favorite donut is. But my favorite is I like vanilla icing with sprinkles. I'm kind of a sprinkle guy. I like sprinkles on my ice cream. I like sprinkles on my donuts. But I also like powdered sugar donuts. I had a couple of those this morning with my daughters. But we actually minted yesterday for Mint 365 the Donut Shop NFT. And they're actually giving unlimited donuts or lifetime supply of donuts to all of those that mint that NFT. If you buy it on secondary sale, I think you get a year's free of donuts. Pretty cool little initiative, but I also think it's just a fun way of, NFTs don't always have to be about products and services or social good. They can also be, for good of our bellies. And who doesn't like donuts? So shout out to that project as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. As always, we are super powered by the ADHD coin over on Rally. If you're like, hey, I love this podcast, I would love to support it more. I would love to help, contribute to this continual growth and buying an NFT every single day for a year. Just jump over to ADHDcoin.com, grab yourself some ADHD coin, keep them in your wallet, keep them, by you simply holding the ADHD coin, you're helping all of us that are also holding the ADHD coin, because the more holders of the coin we have, the more value it goes up, the more opportunities that we're able to empower, we're able to give away. I gave away a couple $100 worth of ADHD coin this weekend in the Discord, just as a thank you. I did a couple airdrops, and I'll probably do a couple more today as well. So thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And for those that are working on social good and charity projects, I'm here for you. I want to champion that. I want to celebrate that. Even if it's just a matter of me being able to retweet it on social, or give shout outs where we can. So to all those, keep on keeping on. And remember, for me, it's all about connecting good people with good people to do good things. Till tomorrow. Cheers. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully it opened up your eyes to what's possible here with the NFT space, not only with charities and social good, but also ways that we can really empower collaboration across this entire space. So, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube as well. And, make sure you hit subscribe down here. Not sure where it's at. It's probably over here. And turn on that bell so you can be aware of all of the YouTube videos that we upload to support the podcast as well. Cheers.